I'm an addict recovering from the disease of addiction. My name is Sean G.
Hi, Sean.
I'm here today by God's grace and God's mercy, and I'm clean but for the grace of God, the program and fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. The program that taught me how to say no to what I could never say no to. That was drugs, A to X, alcohol, and Xanax, and every other drug that fit in between. I want to thank God for waking me up this morning and not coming to. I want to thank that same God for allowing me to wake up this morning. In my right frame of mind, to bathe, clothe myself without shitty drawers on. It's only through his grace, his mercy, and a moment of silence that we're all here right now. Listen, I didn't get here by myself. I was graced. I want to thank the West Georgia region for the opportunity to be a part of the Super Speaker Fest 2. Like I said, I'm here through God's grace and God's mercy. I'm a member of the Boys to Men group of Narcotics Anonymous in Fall River, Massachusetts. We meet on Tuesday nights from 7 o'clock to 8:15. Men's Step and Tradition meeting. Step 1, Tradition 1. Step 2, Tradition 2. Step 3, Tradition 3. We believe that the traditions are an equal part of importance as the steps are. We don't just do one tradition a month. It's an equal opportunity recovery. The traditions are just as important as the steps. They said that the steps and traditions are the meat and potatoes of the program. And if you don't eat right, you'll die of spiritual starvation. So I believe in our literature. Yeah. I support Narcotics Anonymous World Services 100%. I want to thank Rick, who's watched my progress over the years, come up here and share the hope about his family and the transition and the change. I want to thank Kathy and Brendan. See, all three of those people are from the southeastern Massachusetts area. Even though I live in East Providence, Rhode Island, my home group is part of SEMA. So I'm a SEMA member, and they are senior members too. And they'll always be because of their selfless contributions.
I know, get Travis. Get Travis.
Says in our literature that enthusiasm will aid ongoing recovery. I want ongoing recovery. See, I've been enthusiastic about Narcotics Anonymous like this from the jump. This ain't live at the Apollo. This ain't no act. This is who I am. Step 12. The ways in which we carry the message are as varied as our members. Developing a personal style for carrying the message rests on a simple requirement. We must be ourselves. So for those who say there are no must in NA, this says we must be ourselves. Because we each have a special, one-of-a-kind personality that is sure to be an attraction to many. We each have a special, one-of-a-kind personality that is sure to be an attraction to many. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine with me, because everybody ain't my cup of tea neither. Eat the chicken, spit out the bones, like my friend Raymond says. What I will not do is I will not water myself down because people can't take me at 100%. It said that we must energetically carry our message to our villages. In the end of my addiction, I was the only man on the whole stroll. Sorry, guys, I wasn't the pimp. And I know for a fact that there's other men in the room that can identify with that. They just don't have the courage to come in here and say it openly in an open meeting. But I'm gonna let you know, because I had the courage to do it, maybe you can get the courage too. Because never alone, never again. Narcotics Anonymous. Sometimes I gotta look back because I don't wanna go back. I got to Narcotics Anonymous when I was 22 years old. 330 pounds. I never heard of Narcotics Anonymous. My topic is when the storm hits. When the storm hits. If there's anything that hurts more than anything for me to talk about, still to this day, it's what my addiction did to my family. The nights my mother stayed up, and the nights my dad stayed up trying to get my mother to come back to bed, and how they missed work because they couldn't get enough sleep, and they needed rest in order to do the type of job that they had. And sometimes my mother got sent home because she fell asleep at her computer because she was up all night worried about me. It says in the basic text that our addiction enslaved us. But through the 12 steps and 12 editions, God took me from slavery to bravery.
Come on, boy. Yes, sir.
I had enough. I had enough. I had enough. I had enough. I had enough of going over to the dirty pile of clothes, looking for the cleanest pair of jeans. I had enough of going into establishments with the same clothes on 3-4 days at a time and taking their deodorant off the rack and putting it on over my dirty, funky clothes, putting it back on and leaving. I had enough of thinking more about suicide and homicide than it was about living. My living skills were truly reduced to the animalistic level. I didn't just want the pain to stop. I wanted the madness between my two ears to stop. One side of my brain sold bullshit. The other side of my brain always tried to buy it. I didn't know about Narcotics Anonymous. I couldn't understand why I hated myself so much all the time. I couldn't understand why every time a great opportunity presented itself, I would talk my way out of it because I felt like I didn't deserve it. And I felt like if I got it, I would fuck it up anyway. When my mother died, they lowered my mother in that ground. My biological mother when I was 11 years old. I bought into the code of the streets. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to pray over my food anymore. I didn't want to pray in public anymore. I didn't want to pray in private anymore. I rebelled. I went from a straight A student to a class clown. Quick. I saw no purpose in life. You know, I looked at my mother in that casket and I went up to that casket and said, God, please wake up my mama, please. God, why are you doing this to me? Don't take my mom. She loved you, God. All she did was love you. You're going to take her away from me and my dad, and my brother, my sister. I couldn't understand. No one told me what cancer was. I thought cancer was a horoscope sign. They cut my mother's breast off and the cancer went to her brain. I didn't know. I spent the weekend at my cousin's. I came home and they said my mother was gone. And I said to my auntie, I said, well, where did mommy go? Can we go get her? I didn't know. I was 11. I was still playing with G.I. Joes. You know, you pull the string and he say, I got a tough assignment for you. Before the Kung Fu grip. I didn't know. And they shipped my mother's body off to Louisiana, where she was from. But I came back home, and as I grew up, I resented my dad. Because why are you going to bury her all the way down there? I can't go down there and see my mom and put flowers on her grave. I didn't know. And I went to my sister's bathroom. I took a hit off a couple of roaches. And I came out of her bathroom 11 years and 10 and a half months later with a habit. With shit stains in my underwear when I sneeze and I cough and my nose running, and I was hot and cold for 20 minutes and then hot for 20 minutes and cold for 25 more minutes, and my legs were cramped. And I had scabs around my lips, and I couldn't snap my fingers because they hurt so much, because it hurt so much, because I hurt so much. And all that pain, and that man, when I was 5 years old, on top of me, grinding on me, you know what I mean? And telling me to shut up and covering my mouth. I hated God. I hated my life. I hated me. And everything that was inside of me, that's what I put out to the world. Until I came to Narcotics Anonymous. I was led here by God. I believe that if you're sitting in a Narcotics Anonymous, it means that you've been directly touched by the hand of God. That's okay if you don't believe that. Second step says people tend to live what they believe. I'm just living in what I believe. Don't hate on what I believe. Get your own belief. You'll see.
Yeah.
I flatlined for 1 minute and 43 seconds at the local hospital. Went home. AMA, against medical advice. Lay in the bed for 6 days wrestling alligators, man. You know, my dad had remarried a beautiful, wonderful woman from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, who loved me like I was her own. And all I did was shit on her because I became a straight shitbag. You're trying to take the place of my mother. You'll never take the place of my mother. I didn't see the harm that I was causing my dad by rejecting a woman that he loved, the second woman that came into his life. I didn't understand. How can you do this to mom? My mother had been gone. My mother died in 1976. There was no such thing as a mammogram. And after wrestling alligators for 6 days, I found myself in the narcotics. I found myself hearing the message of Narcotics Anonymous through H&I. I'm giving you the microwave version. I used too many different drugs, too many different times, for too many different years, got too many different ass whoopings. As a direct result, welcome to the program and fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. Get numbers, dial them, don't file them. Get out of the grip and get into the group. That's what they say. Let me tell you, I'd rather be sitting in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting thinking about getting high than sitting in some dope house thinking about getting clean. My clean date is September 1st, 1989. If you're young, you belong. If you're old, you belong. If you're black, you belong. If you're white, you belong. If you're Latino, you belong. If you're transgender, bi, straight, none of that don't matter. Listen, if you got an education, you belong. If you don't got an education, you belong. I'm not sure you want either one of them things, you belong. We belong, we belong, we belong, we belong. UNITY. The unity is a must. I don't go to the black meeting. I don't go to the white meeting. I go to Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Racism in Narcotics Anonymous. Oh, I don't want to go to the meeting over there because I don't want to sit around a whole bunch of, addicts? Just like you. I don't care if I'm sitting in the ring. Listen, I don't care if I sit in the meeting and I look like a raisin in a bowl of milk. I'm right at home because I make myself at home. Oh, I'm not going to that meeting. I didn't get no love. My son said, well, did you bring some love? Our greatest principle. I asked a man to sponsor me. He took me as far as he could. Asked another man to sponsor me. He took me as far as I would allow him to take me. Asked another man to sponsor me. Wasn't sure about either one. Then I got the right guy. I started praying for a sponsor.
Yeah.
Not auditioning for a sponsor. I started praying for a
That's
sponsor.
right.
Little Italian guy, lives in Brooklyn, New York, been clean since June 5th, 1985. Raising 2 kids on his own as a single dad. When the storm hits, if you're having unprotected sex, be ready to deal with the consequences. And not only that, be ready to handle the blessings that you may think is a consequence, but as you continue to do the work, you see that your consequence becomes a blessing. I knocked up somebody. You know how some of us men do? Don't want to be responsible. Well, how do I know it's mine?
Come on, man.
Or why didn't you put a sock on a pickle? I didn't know how to be a man. I didn't know how to be responsible. Today's Just for Today was talking about priorities. My recovery is my #1 priority. But as you stick and stay here long enough, you start to get the blessings that go along with it, but you end up forgetting about the blesser because the blessings become more important than the blesser. I got the blessings because I made meetings. I got the blessing because I did step work. I got the blessing because I have a relationship with God. And all of a sudden, all the blessings take me away from those things that gave me the relationship with God. The blessings, all those things become secondary, and all the gifts become primary. And then I think about my primary purpose. Then I'm thinking about using on attacking somebody on purpose. Oh, he acts like that with that much time? I hope when I get that much time, well, get that time first.
Yeah.
Come on.
People say, well, clean time ain't important. Let me tell you something. If clean time ain't important, get some or give yours back. My sponsor said, Sean, the clean date that you have, your clean date is the most important thing that you have, because without it, you don't have anything. Think about what you didn't have. Think about what you didn't have when you didn't have clean time. You didn't have peace. You didn't have harmony. You didn't have joy. You didn't have integrity. You didn't have self-respect, let alone the job, let alone the car, let alone the license, let alone the insurance. That's secondary, Sean. Listen, here we go within or we go without. The storm comes when I stop going in. And I start to live out. I start to rely on out. Because recovery is an inside job.
Yes, it is.
My little girl was born October 5th, 1991. And I became a single dad because I didn't do my homework. Because all I saw was a size, I saw some 38 C's and I was hooked. I didn't see schizoaffective disorder. I didn't see chronic depression with psychotic features. Huh? I didn't see somebody that wasn't, who needed, what do we say? Medication adjustment.
Yeah.
I know how to adjust it.
Yeah.
Khalees, may God be pleased with him, my dear friend, used to say, it's called instant gratification because it's over in an instant. When you got to sit down with your little girl and you can't and talk about the birds and the bees, and you can't say, well, I'm uncomfortable. Go talk to your mother about that. You can't do that because you're mom and dad. Huh? And you take your little girl to school and they say, I don't want to go to that school no more, daddy, because all the kids see me. They say, well, how come we always only see your daddy, but we never see your mommy? What's the matter? You don't got a mommy, she don't got a mommy. She don't got a mommy. Your little girl don't want to go to that store, and you're not that far removed, and you got that still like type of thinking, in my mind. So, I'll just call my boy, he'll get little Junebug to go up there, with a 9mm and pistol whip the kid who said that to my daughter. All kids who said that to my daughter. And my sponsor said, Sean, we don't pistol whip 6-year-olds. So forget about calling, your boy's little cousin Junebug, and why don't you get on your knees with Ariana and start to pray for the people who said that to her, because sure, next time you go to school and you look in the schoolyard, I want you to realize that there won't be as many dads picking up their daughter and dropping them off as there are mothers, and those kids may be coming from a place of envy and jealousy because she has something that they don't. Did you ever think about that? We grow through pain and recovery, and often find that such crisis is a gift, an opportunity to experience growth by living clean. Before recovery, we're unable to even conceive the thought that problems brought gifts. This gift may be finding strength within ourselves, within ourselves, and regaining the feeling of self-respect that we had lost. It's a bitch when you lose self-respect in recovery. And you can't say, well, it was the Wild Irish Rose, it was a Klonopin, it was a Xanax. You don't have that excuse anymore other than you're really not, you're nuts. You're not using the steps. You're not, like our girl Stacy said back home. Application, that means applying it to your life. I'm not applying it. That's what that is. Because sometimes I still lack the inability to accept personal responsibilities, which creates my own problems. But life is going to show up no matter how long I'm clean. Shows up with and without my permission. So, I'm on my second divorce. I still don't know how to pick them. That's because I keep choosing and I won't allow myself to be chosen.
Wow.
People know my MO. Listen, I know they talk. I know they do. They should be. But they should be talking to me, not everybody else. You know how it goes. Hi, this is Bill Smith. I'm with the NA Gazette. Did you know that Sean G just ended another relationship after 2 years? This is 5 two-year relationships in a row. Film at 11. I don't subscribe to the NA Gazette. And I'm not a reporter. Because I know that everybody around here is going to get a turn. Someone's going to break your heart. Why? Because you broke somebody else's. Let me tell you something. The only time I walk on water is when I'm standing in the shower. It's raining outside. Don't get it twisted. It says in the 5th step, and it works how why. It says we're human beings. Nothing more, nothing less. But I can value myself as a human being, and all the things that I've gone through and all the work that I continue to, because I haven't done step work. I'm still doing step work. It's preparation for life on life's terms and the tragedies that come with being a member of Narcotics Anonymous, because you don't get a pass because you're an NA member.
That's right.
Well, I'm clean now. Why is this happening? Because you're clean now. That's why it's happening. When you were high, you didn't know shit was happening. Shit's still gonna happen, man. Second mother died. My dad says, son, can you pick out the casket because I can't do it. Love you, Spencer. He said, okay, Dad. He got to the funeral. It was at place of worship, and my dad, he went and got some water and he sat down and he got up and he stretched and he turned around and he saw you guys. Yeah. And my dad said, son, he goes, and they were, how you guys do, Mr. G, air hug, love you. And he's like, who are all these people? I know some of these people, but who are these people? I said, Dad, that's the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. He said, but they didn't know your mother. I said, but they knew your son. And some of them know you. So they came to pay respects. And that was in February 24th of 2000. Moving right along. My dad had a double bypass surgery, prostate cancer, 2015, I lost my first cousin. I lost 2 aunts. 2016, I lost an uncle, and I lost a cousin. My dad had a massive stroke. March of 2017, I was about to go to Ocean Shores to carry our message. I had to call them up and say, I'm sorry, I'm not getting on the plane. I'm sorry that you spent your money on your ticket to bring me out there, but I can't go. He said, we understand. I saw my dad in so much pain, holding his head, vomiting. My dad spent 37 days in neurological ICU, 65 days in 2 adult acute rehabs, 10 weeks in a skilled nursing home. The man who ran the Boston Marathon twice, the U.S. Marine Corps Marathon 3 times, the Ocean State Marathon twice, who ran 10.5 miles a day, who's now in a brief, in a gait belt, in a walker, in a wheelchair, getting occupational therapy and physical therapy. The man who served his country and served proudly and was so proud to be a veteran of the United States Army and talked about it all the time. And I remember I was wiping my dad. And my dad said to me, he said, son, I'm so sorry you have to do this for me. I didn't mean to get sick. Please don't be mad, Sean. I know your life is going to change now because I'm sick. I love you back. I said, it's okay, Dad, because when I was a baby, you wiped my butt. I'm returning the favor. I'm paying it forward, Pops. My dad has stood up with me and giving me my cake 28 out of 30 years that I've been clean. My dad was up there and gave a cake and thanked the members of NA for what they've given his son. And during this time, me and my wife had separated in September 2016. And I had moved in with my dad about 1.5 miles away, not even knowing that this was going to be a storm. But storms sometimes don't come to drown us, they come to cleanse us. So I realized that when the storm hit, I realized that I had hit enough meetings, I hit enough steps, I hit enough service, I hit enough prayer, I hit enough meditation to sustain me in the midst of the storm where I wouldn't be able to utilize those things. Now I had to put them into practice for real, the ultimate service position in the 4 walls of home, because recovery counts most, but nobody else is looking. I got laid off from my job after 14.5 years. They sent me and 15 other people unexpectedly down to the auditorium. I'm sorry, immediately turning your keys, your bags. We have to let you guys go because and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I was going to retire here. I got 14 years in. What do you mean? I'm 50 years old. I'm going to stay here till I'm 66. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Huh? I want a pension. I want, come on now. I mean, what do you mean? You letting us go? God said, I need you elsewhere. This is not what this is where I need you for this time, but I got better and better things for you, but you're going to have to eat some bitterness and swallow some bitterness, Sean, because remember, today's peacock is tomorrow's feather duster. You better stay right sides, dude. I remember the first time I loaded my dad's wheelchair into the car, and I put him in the car, and I looked in the back, and I went around, and I saw that wheelchair in the back of the car. I said, wow, this is a life bid. This ain't some, okay, in a few weeks, he'll get ready to walk and all that other type of stuff. On my days off, I had to stay home and take care of my dad. On my weekends off, I had to stay home and take care of my dad. You guys kept calling me, can you come, to here, there, and I had to respectfully decline a lot of times. Sometimes I could go, but sometimes I couldn't. because I was on unemployment. I couldn't afford to pay somebody to watch my dad the whole weekend. And my brother and sister, they had assignments, but their assignment was their assignment, and my assignment was my assignment. And I always say, God, how come I can't have their assignment? Because once I walked in the house, I was chained to my home with my dad. So I made sense of the opportunity. And my dad told me things that he never told anybody. About his life and about his childhood. And he apologized to me and said that it wasn't his fault that he sent my mother's body to Louisiana. He said that my grandmother down in Louisiana begged him to send my mother's body down so she could see her daughter. I held on to all that stuff, all that time. I carried that resentment with my dad. See, I continue to learn when to hold on and when to let go. Because I find myself in the most pain under two circumstances. When God's trying to give me something and I won't accept it, or God's trying to take something away from me and I won't let him have it. God created a platform for me to let that go. And my dad let go of some things with me. I love my dad so much. I've been married twice. My dad was my best man both times. That's how much I love my pops. Deacon George. They called him Deke. I remember when my dad got up from his wheelchair and walked around the house for the first time without any assistance. How proud he was. He had no peripheral vision. He was blind in his left eye on top of his physical incapacity to be able to do things. But he used to say some things that stuck with me through the storm. He said, Sean, he said, did you ever think, not that God gave me cancer, but God allowed me to have cancer so I can have a better relationship and a closer relationship with him, to increase my trust and faith in him? Because even the word impossible spells I am possible. My dad never complained about having cancer, didn't complain about not being able to walk, didn't complain about not being able to cook, did not complain about being drive. He would say things like this: well, I can't drive, but at least I have my son to take me where I need to go. Well, I can't cook, but at least my son Sean could cook my meals. Well, I can't get to the doctors, but on the days that my son can't do it, my daughter can do it. Well, I can't pay these bills, but I trust that my family can use my money to do the right thing with it. I'm talking about having faith in the midst of the storm. What is faith? Unquestioning belief. And let me tell you something. I wasn't skipping through daisies every single day to take care of my dad. Oh, I'm a trusted servant, and I'm going to take care of my God. You know, some days I listen, I said, God, I complain to God. I did. I complained to God. I complained to my higher power. I did. I said, God, I know, come on, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And he said, you don't know how much longer you can do this. You remember how you survived active addiction, but I got you through that. This ain't nothing. I prepared you for this day. You have the tools. Put down the toys and pick up the tools, Sean. Sharpen them tools, huh? I could only make 2 meetings a month, boo. And sometimes, Brian, I couldn't stay the whole meeting. I had the clock watch. 2 meetings a month. I was used to 3 meetings a week. I had to give up my H&I at the prison. The guys had nobody coming in for H&I behind the walls of the maximum security prison, the Down but Not Out group, which is part of the service that I do for the fellowship. I couldn't go, and nobody would step up. I had to stay home and take care of my dad, because my dad took care of me, and my daughter wasn't around. And my dad would cry for my daughter, and she just wasn't there. She couldn't stand to see him like that, and she would have come around, and she was caught up in another addiction, males. You know, relationship. I know for a fact that there may be somebody in this room right now that's going to go home and lay down next to somebody that they don't want to lay down, but they don't want to lay down by themselves, so they settle for less. You know, when you're in a relationship and you're like walking the yard in your kitchen, like a cigarette. incarcerated in a relationship and the God's on duty, or officer shame and officer guilt, and you feel bad about leaving because, you know, you got to tax them kids, and you got to tax this, you got to tax that. Oh, you know, and then he pays a really good car note, you know, and all that other type of stuff. And the sex is bomb, but ain't nothing else really popping, but ain't nothing else really out there that appeals to me. So I'll just sit here and settle. You know what I'm talking about, or am I alone? But she made me come like this, he made me come like that, you know. I'm talking about like using like that to like help you get through the storm, but really it's just putting pain on top of more pain. I married somebody for the second time. I was with her longer than I've been with anybody in my life. I was with her for 10 years. We were married for 8 years. But I have to be honest with you, because I lack something called courage. I was a spiritual coward. And I went around all over the country telling everybody how much I love this woman, and I did, but I didn't tell you that I was no longer in love with this woman. Like walking on eggshells in my own home. She's a wonderful, beautiful person, absolutely. And I will never say anything bad about her, even though she can say everything bad about me and has. I will not respond in that way, because I'm going to tell you right now, it says right here on page 142, integrity is a spiritual application. Listen, integrity is a consistent application of spiritual principles, no matter what the circumstances. So even though people kick my back in, I continue to walk forward. You know, because people get jealous and envious because you do this all the time. But because you do this all the time, don't mean that you don't hurt all the time. Don't mean you don't need help all the time. Us new timers need help too. Don't call us dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are extinct. We're still here. We're just members with substantial clean time who need your help too. Stop putting us in places that we don't belong. The air is rarefied up there, man. I can't breathe up there, man. Stop putting me places I don't belong. I belong even, Stephen, right here with you. I'm not better than you because I do this. I'm not less than you because I do this. You're not better than me because you don't do this. And you're not less than me because you don't do this. It's an equal opportunity to recover. We're all even Stephen up in this piece, man. Stop listen. That's why we suffer in silence, because people, oh, well, you know, he speaks all over the country. He got all them steps, he got all them spontees. You know, he'll get through it. How do you know that I don't go home at times and I got the knife to my throat, wanting to lunge it in? Because I can't share because you think I can't share. I laid my dad to rest July 1st. The Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous showed up again. When I was here in July, I opened up the Magna Convention in August. It's good to really be back in this room and in this place. You know, I buried my dad with dignity, honor, and respect. My dad used to brag on me to the CNAs and at the little day program where he used to go with the nuns. And he said, my son's going to have 30 years clean. You know what that means to me? The greatest gift my dad ever gave me to stop the storm and active addiction. It wasn't under a tree. It wasn't on a table next to a cake with candles, singing happy birthday. The greatest gift my dad ever gave me was he drove me to treatment so I could hear the message of Narcotics Anonymous. He put me in his car, 330 pounds, funky, greasy, slimy, stinking like a dirty Lincoln. Listen, put me in his car and said, son, go get your help. I'll be here when you come home. I didn't know if I had a home to go home to. And he let me come home. And an addict came by and said, get in the car, we're going to a meeting. I said, but I didn't tell you I wanted to go to a meeting. He said, I didn't ask you if you wanted to go to a meeting. Get in the car, we're going to a meeting. Old school. True school. Care about your life more than your feelings. If I got to hurt your feelings to save your life, get used to it. Tough love beats no love. That's how I get through the storms. Love. Loving on other people. Being of service to others. I didn't think I was going to be able to get through it. I didn't know how I was going to get through it. My dad died. I'm going through this divorce. I lost a job. People kicking in my back. I got financial problem. I had to tap into an old 401k. I had to give her money. I'm hearing all kind of stuff. I can't make enough means. I'm dying inside, you know. And then she came into my life. A year and change later, I said, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I could do this. And I was reminded on page 101. Whenever we confront the difficulty that we do not think we can handle, we can ask God to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And this young lady came into my life, and she started, hey, can we have coffee? Hey, can we have this? And I'm like, hey, we can't. I'm taking care of my dad. We can. And she was just really, really persistent. She was kind of new, So I said, let's see what happens, And, she had a little over 2 years. And so she started saying, if you want to go to a meeting, I will sit with your dad if that's okay. But I just have to find somebody to watch my baby. She had a baby. Her name is Ari Grace. No one offered to do that. She would stop by on her way home from work and stop by my house and see my dad and give him a hug and see if he needed anything. When at the time I had a sponsee who was a CNA taking care of my dad while I was at work. I'm not going to get into that, but that didn't turn out well. Never let money and sponsorship, that shit just don't mix. And we started dating. It's been like 2 years. And my dad died, and my dad left me his home. Our home. The home that he bought in 1968. And the mortgage has been paid since 1977. The house that I grew up in. All my memories are good and bad with my dad and my brothers and my sisters. And I moved my girl in. And I treated her like shit. Because she was trying to change things the way that they were. When I was with my dad, I felt like I was hurting my dad. No, don't move that way. No, we got to keep this like this. And I wasn't letting her be at home after I invited her into my home. And I created a storm. She said to me one night, she said, I think I just might have to go get in the palm and we can be together still because I just don't feel at home here because you don't make me feel at home. So I'm afraid to say anything. I'm afraid to hang a picture because, that's not the way my dad wanted it. And I'm here with you. She encouraged me to go to grief counseling. So I went to a grief support group. One. But I got a lot of material. And she encouraged maybe couples counseling because I'm around my grief. Because I have a lot of unresolved grief. And she's got 4.5 years clean. She got a home group. And she's very, very supportive of me doing this. She just didn't realize the demand for me to be so many different places so much. And it's an adjustment for her. But she's willing. She don't like it all the time, but she understands. She said, I knew who you were when I got with you. She didn't want to come to a convention. It takes you like an hour and a half to get from like the lobby to the car because everybody's like, I just love a lot of people and a lot of people love me. But I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of people can't stand me, but let me just say this. I'm too busy loving on the people that are loving me to be hating on the people that are hating me. I don't have time to hate on the people that are hating me because I'm too busy loving on the people that love me. Love me. Not the way I share, because I want to live better than the way I share. I got some friends here in ATL, man. I got some friends here. I know some people here. And I'm grateful for that. The hospitality that I was given now and the hospitality that I was given at Magna, Kim calling me on the phone, man, I was really going through it, man. She helped me, man. I was really going through it, man. I'm like sleeping with pictures with my dad. I'm hugging pictures of my dad. So when the storm hits, I got to remember what my priority is to recover. Social media platforms, they're out there where you can actually see people. I'm not going to say what it is because that'd be a violation of our tradition because we don't endorse outside enterprises. An outside enterprise in the sixth edition of the basic, in the sixth tradition in the basic text says that an outside enterprise is any agency, business venture, religion, or even any other fellowship. That's why we don't invite speakers from other fellowships. to share at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Because that's endorsing an outsider. We don't even mention the name. We're not even supposed to mention the name of another fellowship in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. We're not supposed to mention the name of the restaurant where we eat, even though I'm going to throw it down when we get out of here. If y'all want to know, you can follow me out the door, but I'm not going to say it. But I went from a 50 waist to a 38. No surgery.
That's right. Good work. Did the work.
Perseverance, steadfastness, commitment, willingness. Oh, there you are. All right. I see you now. I knew you were there. I couldn't see you, but okay.
Introduce yourself.
I was talking about the tips of my shoes. If anything that came out of my mouth from my heart that helped you today, please give God all the props.
Yeah.
If anything that did not help you that came out of my mouth, please don't give me any.
Right.
But all I know is that I did the best that I could today with what I had.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a very enthusiastic, energetic, passionate, convicted person about Narcotics Anonymous. I only go to Narcotics Anonymous. I support NA World Services. I only read Narcotics Anonymous literature. Speaking of that, today's a great day. My sponsee, who lives in North Carolina, just got the phone call. He got nominated for a world board position. He got nominated last year. He didn't get it, but let's hope that he gets it. You know, he lives in Johnston County, North Carolina. He's from New Jersey. I love him very much. He shared the good news with me today. I know that there's a lot of issues that we need to address, but I choose to not get involved with anything that creates disunity in our fellowship.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Come on. Be clear with
If you're on drug replacement therapy, we welcome you to come. We welcome you to stay. And we need to not treat those folks like second-class citizens, because that doesn't say a whole lot about who they are. It says a whole lot about who we are. Because we can stain the fiber of the fellowship by mistreating people who come here on drug replacement therapy. And yes, we know they can't hold positions because Bulletin 29 explains that very much so. But we can love them and help them come to a place where they can become, like our literature said, like we read at every meeting, completely, totally abstinent. But let's love them through that process and be with them through that process. Again, in closing, I'd rather be sitting in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting thinking about getting high than sitting in a dope house thinking about getting clean. I'm an addict recovering from the disease of addiction from East Providence, Rhode Island, New England region, Boys and Men Group of Narcotics Anonymous. My name is Sean G. I love you all like a fat kid loves cake.